And we are live, gentlemen. Let me get the recording going here. Welcome, Twitch viewers, to the IGC podcast. Alrighty, here we go. So, everybody, welcome to the IGC podcast, the podcast for mature adults who like to joke around and play video games too. We curse, we get rowdy, have a good time doing it. So, let's see who's on the panel today. So, I'm your host, Greg Geraldin, as always. And with us today is, first and foremost, is Naughtius.
Well, hello.
Welcome back, Naughtius. And also with us today is AI Monster.
Yep.
And Papa J.
Hello.
And lastly, Seafer's here. Hello. Okay, guys. So I know there's not a lot of news. There's really not a lot of news. If you guys have listened to any of the other podcasts, you're probably not going to expect a whole lot from us. But today, because it's E3 is coming out is here in 3 weeks. So no one's really talking about anything. There's no real big news to be had. It's kind of like we're reaching for a lot of content here. We're going to do our best to make it entertaining.
Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct in Japan.
That's true. They did have a Nintendo Direct in Japan. Now, why isn't that on our document?
It is. I put it on the doc.
Oh, is it? I mean, I saw the Dr. Mario stuff, some of the highlights. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I see. It's on page 2.
Trying to get the tabletop arrow pointed at
it. But it was pretty recent. I mean, it was today, so we didn't really have time to.
Yeah.
Get up there.
Yeah, I only heard bits and pieces. I didn't watch it myself either. Well, let's talk about a game development company that most people actually pay attention to. So, Sony has been touting that they're going to be this Morpheus thing. They're sticking with it, despite knowing the limitations of what the console is going to be able to power in terms of VR anything. They are gung-ho about the Morpheus. And, we've talked for a long time about how that in order for this to sell, any of these VR headsets to sell, we need to see some software that works really well with them. And Sony knows that that's important. And so they're creating a studio dedicated just to producing games for their VR headset. Now, what do you guys think about this?
I think it was absolutely inevitable, and the fact that they're doing it so late absolutely astounds me when you consider the fact that, Oculus has been collecting developers for a very long time, for a couple of years now, to develop first-party games for the platform. So the fact that Sony's just now figuring this out is pretty hilarious.
Okay. Hilarious is, I guess, is one way to look at it.
No matter what the studio produces, it can't possibly top the killer app that is going to be Summer Lesson.
That's going to be what?
Summer Lesson.
Summer Lesson. I don't think I've seen this.
Well, you're in a schoolgirl's room and you kind of.
I was about to say we know the types of games that AI Monster plays. You can probably figure it out.
You're right. I should have known better than to even ask. But I had to ask. I will. Is this on YouTube? Can I actually watch clips of this if I so want to?
They've been toting, promoting their VR Project Morpheus on.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest. I know I'm supposed to be interested in all of this stuff, but VR is not something that I've even really dedicated a lot of time to even looking into, because it just seems so far out of reach in terms budget-wise at this point. And I mean, 250. Well, how much was the first the second dev kit? Was it the DK2 or whatever it was? Isn't it 350?
About 300, I think.
That's 300 shipped. About is what I paid for it.
It just seems to me a lot of money to invest in. That's like a video card. You know what I mean?
It doesn't have a great record of success with people.
Well, you've got to remember, the DK2 was a dev kit. It was designed for people to begin developing games in a virtual environment. Was never a consumer product. Yeah, a lot of people who were consumer oriented purchased it to try all these demos people are making, but it was never the actual consumer product. In fact, we were just talking about it last podcast that Oculus has released their consumer specifications and their launch window. And that's another thing that astounds me is we've seen the specifications for Valve's and HTC's VR headset. We've seen the specifications for the Oculus. We know these things are going to require a much more powerful system than the Xbox One or the PS4 can do.
Right.
And then that really baffles me as to why Sony's developing an entire studio for this stuff, unless you want to play it at like 480p resolution or
That's
something.
that's what I'm
when
saying.
your PS4, you're just it doesn't make any bloody sense.
They're gonna have
The
to
games are
leverage
gonna
their
be built.
upscaler.
Yeah, the games are going to be built specifically for the Project Morpheus. I mean,
Yeah.
Sony knows that the VR is going to be the next big thing. It's pretty likely, and they're doubling down on it. So I think these developers are. Sorry, go ahead.
What kind of games are they going to make for? I mean, what Flower? Flower in 3D?
Yeah, I like Flower.
That's definitely something.
That's just not appealing.
Well, they've gone over with some of the games. They've been supporting some of the indie developers, and there's some games. The gameplay is very much like how the Wii U motion control was, where the Wii U games were coming out, or not Wii. I meant Wii, just the Wii, not the Wii U. And they're very, I guess you could say, rudimentary. They're not very complex games.
No, and not every game for VR has to be a Star Citizen or an Eve Valkyrie, something that's going to push hardware to the max. They may be fully intending to embrace, what we would consider casual games for the Morpheus platform. I mean, the kind of the demos they've done for it already, one was kind of like a street luge type sim. It wasn't, tremendously graphically intense from what I recall.
I mean, I'm okay with whatever kind of games they come out for it. I just feel like if they're going to focus on games that are aimed towards casuals, that they also have to come in at a casual price point. I mean, we know how much the Oculus was. We don't know how much it's necessarily going to be, and we don't know how much the Morpheus is going to be. But I mean, at this point, it seems like they're selling their console for $300, right? Is that like the current price for a PS4? Is it $350? They have to.
It's over 350. Yeah.
They have to price this thing competitively enough against their own hardware for people to really go to the store and justify purchasing. Like, well, I spent $350 on the PS4. Am I going to spend another $250 on a headset for that one thing that it only works with that? Like, what happens when it phases out? What happens when a version 2 comes out, which is inevitable with these sorts of things? To me, it's a big investment to ask for console gamers to ask for PC gamers to make, because we know how far a buck goes. We're the guys who live on Steam sales and all that other business, and we have not yet seen like the real game that's proof of concept for these things really working. There's no go-to title. There's no Mario or whatever the fuck for this kind of stuff yet.
Well, there's rumors of what games will use it. I think I don't remember if that's confirmed or not, but the game we announced last time on the podcast was that Ark survival game with the dinosaur hunting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was apparently going to use Project Morpheus when it releases on Sony platforms. And the developers at the studio, they basically create. I mean, they haven't announced like the name of the studio or anything, or the details, but it's rumored that these are ex-Wipeout developers. So I don't know if they're just going to develop casual games. I
don't think they're.
I want to see what they're going to eventually come out and say this is acceptable performance for VR, and everyone else is going to go, no, this looks like shit. Because PC's barely getting it with high-end stuff.
Yeah.
I can't see a PS4 doing it. Just can't.
It seems like a long shot for them, but I mean, I think admittedly they know that, right? And they know that in order for VR to work for PlayStation, they have to create their own peripheral and they have to create their own games that work. And what scares me is for the PC games that are going to come out for the for the Oculus and for the Vive. What happens when they try to port them to the PS4? Are they going to work with the Morpheus, or are the PC specs going to be? Is it going to be too hard to port something like that? Is another case of like you're creating separation within the same market for X game. Like, well, this game works on the Morpheus, but it doesn't work on PC, and this game works on PC, and it does not in a long fucking shot work on the Morpheus.
No, they're not going to work with the Morpheus. I'm sure they're going to require completely different code and hardware specs and everything.
Okay. I mean, that's what it seems like. I think Sony is they know that, and they're putting enough money into this that they're creating their own studio, and really
Their own little games.
their own little games. And realistically, like they've admitted that their first party lineup is already pretty damn thin. I mean, what have we really seen this year that matter? Oh, we got The Order, which didn't matter, right?
Didn't matter. No.
Didn't matter. And then we saw Bloodborne, which mattered. But
No, they're actually saying their lineup down for the holiday season is sparse. So it's not just.
but it's sparse now. Like, what do we got down the pipe? Street Fighter 5?
Yeah.
That's it.
Don't count on that one.
Yeah.
Persona 5 is.
Okay, Persona 5.
That's multiple.
Metal Gear, yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about a console that came out we go back to this a lot, at the end of 2013, that this year is going to have 4 big titles, right? Seems about right, and they're not exactly spread out like, one per quarter or anything like that. And then for the holiday, they're not going to really give us anything? I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're yeah.
A little more than sparse, and by more I mean like less.
Yeah, I mean, shit's coming out on the PC like all the time. Is it all good? No. But we've got some good exclusives that came out this year. Right? I mean, we had Windward, which was pretty fun from what I understood, although it was kind of a flash in the pan.
Well, if we're going by indie, Sony actually has quite a few exclusive indie games. Their first party lineup is terrible. And Windward I would consider indie, so.
Sky.
I would consider indie. I mean, is Magica coming to the consoles at some point?
Yeah, Magic is on the consoles.
Oh, okay. So they got that, but I mean, games like that they don't get advertised enough.
Yeah, they have
live in
great
your
indie.
world, play in ours once a year.
Yeah, they have a great indie lineup.
It gathers dust
even if
extremely well, I
exclusive.
find. I like the comment there.
I don't know. I think the studio is just gonna make a bunch of small little games like. You guys remember the PSI?
Yep.
I'm thinking games like that.
I
Was
think Sony
Worked
learned
out
enough from the PSI.
so well.
be like 5 games that matter, and then... Okay. All right. Well, Sony really seemed to be the guy that everyone sort of looks up to and compliments, and now I don't know. We don't know what they're doing. They're clearly putting a lot of money into this studio, which means they're going to be putting a lot of money into developing VR games. And really, I think the only way for them to really hit it big is they need to be the ones who make a game that is like, the game that people are like, this game is amazing. Like when Vita came out and everyone was like, oh, Gravity Rush is awesome. Like, that was a super talked up game. Like, that has to happen for the VR headset.
Really? You're comparing the Vita launch to... I mean, do you think the Vita launch was good?
Do you want me to compare it to the PS4 launch? Because there was nothing going on there.
I mean, but at least hardware-wise, well, I guess the Vita hardware-wise also was superior to the 3DS too, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's always been an issue with lineup with them. With all this stuff.
Let's release Hatred in VR. I'll go over well.
Oh man. We're gonna talk about that a little later. So AI had sent me this link to this website that I then showed some of the guys over in NI. It's called siftd.net. I don't know what the hell that stands for because it's sifted. Yeah,
That's what it stands for.
that's just a weird way to spell sifted because there's a fucking e in there. I learned that in school.
Terrible name.
So it is a terrible name, but for what the site actually does, it makes sense. Why don't you tell me why people should sign up for this? Full disclosure, we are not getting paid to advertise for these people. This is just a site that AI saw and was like, hey, great, take a look at this. And I poked around for a little bit. I didn't think it was useful for me, but tell me why you think it's useful and tell us what it's all about.
Well, I know a lot of people use Reddit and a lot of the other sites to gather their news. They subscribe to a whole bunch of Twitters and things like that. Well, this pretty much lets you filter all that news that comes out. You could set up filters, and maybe you want to see stuff from Japan more often, so you could filter that higher up in your list, and it'll show up on the site articles from like 24 hours or 48 hours, depending on what you set it at, will show up up top, and then the articles that you don't want to see as much show up closer to the bottom.
I mean,
So it filters it out for you. It's really it's a big time saver if you're just looking to look at news. And it's got a good price point. It is a premium service. You could sign up for a 2 week trial, but it's $10 a year, so it's pretty much nothing to your wallet.
It's not bad. I mean, it's essentially like an RSS feeder, right? Just sort of newly redefined and based on interest rather than actually going out and finding feeds, things like that.
It's basically like that, and it pulls from pretty much every popular source. So like every popular YouTuber, every popular video game company, and every popular news site. So it's a really good source of information. Like some of the stuff that you mentioned on like Reddit that I didn't see on any of my news sites, I did see pop up on there. So it will get some more obscure stuff.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, that's kind of our PSA, I guess.
I guess. I don't know. I don't get it.
I mean, as a 2 week free trial, I would check it out, and then you could decide if it's for you or not.
There you have it. So, sifted.com, SIFTD .net. Sorry, .net. All right, so back to games. So, CD Projekt Red just gave us the glorious Witcher 3, which we're going to probably spend a decent amount of talking about today. At least I know I will. And with E3 coming up, everyone wants to know what CD Projekt Red's going to be working on. Like, what's their new thing going to be? And everyone, we heard several years ago about Cyberpunk 2077, and it looked cool. I mean, we saw some concept art. I don't think we saw any gameplay as of yet. And the game sounds pretty interesting. It's it's a cyberpunk game, and it's presumably sandbox or open world, and that CD Projekt Red kind of flair. But they said someone had asked them if we're going to actually hear anything about it at E3, and they said they're not even planning to tell us at all, like anything about this game at this E3. They're not going to talk about it till 2017. Actually.
Yeah, they actually said 2 years.
Oh, Lucy is here, by the way, now.
What's up?
So, Lucy,
Welcome.
who's still trying to get a job at CD Projekt Red, but is doing this podcast in the meantime.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe they learned their
Interesting.
lesson with Witcher.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was about to say. I mean, their marketing strategy for The Witcher 3, had them showing gameplay videos years ahead of the game's release.
that looked amazing. We need to talk about that today, too.
But I actually good news for people who are playing The Witcher, because they said they're gonna spend 2 years on developing content for The Witcher. So.
Well, and what's that going to be? That's going to be another like DLC or 2 expansion type thing, and it's going to be the enhanced edition, like at the end of 2016, right?
Yeah.
Lot of
We know what it is.
We just got the first part of DLC, and apparently there's supposed to be 16, and then the expansion, the series additional content.
I feel disappointed though. I feel like even though they know what they did wrong, right? They know they showed us those bull shots, as Naughty saw them. Like, you got to tell us something about your big game. I mean, is CD Projekt Red that far off the beaten path? And I don't mean to use that in any kind of expressive way, that they feel they don't need to promote their game like 2 years ahead of time.
No, they had the right idea, because if you promote too early, you get out, like with Watch Dogs. I think we all know.
Yeah, and I think looking at this, they developing some concepts, but I don't think they will focus on developing the game until 2017, where they're gonna go full steam.
Right.
So we're gonna start getting news in 2017, but the game, might not come out till 2019.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Lucy on this one. The last thing we saw about Cyberpunk from CD Projekt Red was just some, cinematic kind of trailer footage. That was like 2 years ago, I think, maybe even longer than that.
Yeah, cinematic.
And I think pretty much. Monster and I were talking about this the other night. There's not a lot of people out there who even know what Cyberpunk 2077 is, and if this game was coming out within the next year or two, they would be having to hype the ever-living daylights out of this thing just to get people, I think, interested in it, a massive amount of people.
No.
Yeah, but when they originally announced it, they just showed like a screenshot, and it was kind of a Deus Ex looking concept. There's gonna be a lot of like people with the implants and stuff, and they just talked roughly about what the game is gonna be about, but it was just like, something that they put down on the paper, and I think it was just like very beginning of the idea.
There was actually something pretty interesting here, in this article. Besides that, there's another piece of information in there. They actually hope that this will be a bigger success than The Witcher 3.
That's shooting for the clouds, I think.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that's even possible with Cyberpunk.
Clouds, try Pluto.
Okay. Please tell me why. I mean, Witcher is 3 games deep, right? I mean, so this is kind of an unfair comparison right off the bat. I mean, they're talking about their first game being bigger than Witcher. Yeah, maybe you're right, Papa. Maybe it is Pluto.
I think what they said, from what I read this as, was that they hope that it's gonna be a better game because they got all this experience from Witcher 3, so it's gonna, be bigger, even bigger than Witcher, but more successful, I doubt it, since Witcher already had a fan base.
Here's the quote: "We hope and we are certain that Cyberpunk has even bigger commercial potential. That is literally more successful."
Right. But they're not using that word.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think people are aware of Cyberpunk. I don't think people are maybe as interested in Cyberpunk. I mean, I'm sure people in this podcast are interested in that. It's a pretty interesting genre, but
Well, think about.
I think too many people rely on brand heavy things. I mean, this is kind of just out of nowhere. I don't think it's gonna.
Well, but hold on a second, because Square Enix did that stupid Deus Ex promotion like a month ago, and people ate that shit up. They had thousands of people watching that stupid fucking ugly ass reveal trailer, and we all knew it was gonna be. I mean, we knew it was gonna be Deus Ex or what the Hitman, right? And it was Deus Ex, and people were like, "Cool, we like Deus Ex," and Deus Ex is right in this genre. Like, people like Deus Ex. It does have a history, it is a storied series, unlike what Cyberpunk is going to try to establish. I think there's a big enough crowd that this game will sell significantly, it will push a significant amount of sales.
But better than Witcher 3?
I don't think it's gonna be better, but Witcher 3 is very popular. It obviously is a big success, and they did really good job promoting that game. So when Cyberpunk comes out, they're gonna attract a big crowd. Might be bigger than Witcher 3 because Witcher 3 for some of the people is first game from that studio. Yeah. Since previous Witchers weren't on console.
I mean, people get tired of medieval fantasy after a while, right? People get tired of it. Like, that's why they play other MMOs as well. That's why people play Star Wars. It's always the go-to genre and style that people go to, at the end of the day, in terms of development, because it's a safe bet. And going into the realm of Cyberpunk is, it's tough. But when they say commercial potential, we're talking about maybe not the game is established or the genre is established, which it is, but CD Projekt Red itself, where will it be in 2017? Maybe when this game comes out, maybe they're going to be a lot more popular than they are now. I mean, we just don't know, but they clearly see. Everyone has a faith in their product. Yeah. They have a lot of faith in their product, and they're telling us that they're going to make a big, huge, successful game, and I'm inclined to believe them.
And let's be truthful. Deus Ex isn't that big of a game. It gives you some choices, but nothing like The Witcher. So if they can replicate the type of a world that's in Witcher and bring it to Cyberpunk, we're gonna see something we haven't seen before.
Right. We don't necessarily have an open world sandbox cyberpunk game, right? I mean, unless you want to count Fallout as mildly cyberpunk.
No.
And that's kind of one of the issues with all the Witcher games too. I mean, they're solid RPGs, but at the end of the day, you're playing an already established character. I think developing the Cyberpunk franchise as a more sandbox edition will allow people to develop their own characters and their own stories. And I don't think they're intending that Cyberpunk is going to come out the gate and just absolutely stomp all over the success of The Witcher 3. But it's something they're obviously looking at in the long term.
There's
Yeah.
coming out though. That's open world sandbox cyberpunk.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, people are more aware of the brand after of the company after Witcher 3, so a lot more people will be looking for what's next from that company.
I'm actually be surprised if people who just casually purchase Witcher 3 are aware of the company even after playing the game. I
Really?
think most people don't even pay attention to that.
I think it's because CD Projekt Red does a good job of having good customer service. And when you do good customer service, people come back to you. Is that like a crazy statement? Is that a crazy statement to make? I mean, they have pretty good customer service, I think.
They do.
They certainly got their game patched up pretty damn quick.
Mhm.
I think that's a lot faster than most people would get their game fixed.
I don't know if I would call it patched up because I experienced a lot of bugs today.
Well, apparently, yeah, I mean, apparently a lot of the issues people were having on the PC side, though, is because of the new NVIDIA drivers that were dropped at the last minute there, that they then broke their game and they had to go in and patch and fix around.
Correct. I had experienced the same issue.
Yeah, I then installed the new drivers and I was fine. Like first day I had a couple of crashes, but after that second day patch, I was fine ever since. I haven't seen any bugs, any graphical glitches, and neither did I crash.
I haven't seen any bugs. Are you guys playing the same Witcher I've been playing?
Listen, the thing is,
Oh, we're playing it on the proper platform, man.
yeah, I mean, people have. We'll talk about it later, but there's been a lot of random issues that people can't replicate or only happen on certain systems because of video cards or drivers or whatever the case may be. It's been a big deal, but anyway, Cyberpunk 2017. Look forward to it, much like Square Enix would tell you to do for their game. And CD Projekt Red wants you to look forward to it so much they're not even going to tell you.
That's right.
I just want you to think about it.
Just
It's going to be a mystery.
hang in there.
They should
I
pull a
won't be
Square
thinking
Enix.
about it.
I'm not going to show you
Coming out in
anything.
2017 and announce some mobile game or something.
Oh
So-
God. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're working on something else. They're not telling anybody. All right. So here's some controversy. Couple pieces of controversy coming up. Twitch is now banning users for streaming adult-only rated games just in time for the release of Hatred. Now, you guys are familiar with this game, right? This is hitting June 1st, tomorrow.
Yeah. Adult only rated by whom?
Nobody knows.
Just it.
Nobody knows.
Officially rated by ESRP. It is not officially
It
rated.
is.
Yes, it is. It has been officially rated by ERSB. It was officially rated like in May, Friday, I think, or Thursday, one of those days.
All right. So it is an adult-only game.
So let's talk about the rating real quick.
Yeah, go, please.
So Hatred got a adult only rating, and the criteria for that rating were intense violence, blood and gore, and strong language.
Sounds like The Witcher.
Yeah, well, now looking through my Steam library here, I see I have a game called Postal 2, which has also been, likely a similar game to Hatred. It is rated mature by the ESRB for blood and gore, intense violence, strong language, mature humor, use of drugs, and mature sexual themes. So, what's the difference here? Why is one mature and one is adult only?
Well, look at The Witcher 3. That's probably way worse than
Yeah.
what Hatred is.
And there's fucking in The Witcher 3. I just fucked a sorceress yesterday. It was awesome.
Uh-huh.
There was moaning and tits.
Make sure your fiance knows
Because
that.
terrorism
She watched.
is a subject.
That's hot.
She's well aware, probably. She watched.
I think it was because I think the reason why games like Grand Theft Auto and there's a hot coffee mod, of course, but
Yes, the hot coffee mod.
the AO rating, but games like Grand Theft Auto and Witcher 3 get a pass when they do it.
Well,
Is because that they're more popular than Hatred, and Hatred released with that trailer that was designed to kind of stir up controversy.
I think there's another difference, though, guys. Call me crazy. Call me like, oh, you don't know shit about this game, Gray. But here's the deal: in GTA 5, the purpose of GTA 5 is basically to be, to do what you want in a sandbox environment, create chaos, steal cars, kill people, whatever. Hatred is only about that. I mean, could you play GTA 5 without killing a soul?
No.
You can't finish it without killing.
Okay, I mean outside of the main storyline, right? Okay.
There's people who try to do follow every law in the game, and you have to actually kill 2 people. I think on one of Grand Theft Auto it was 4. I think.
Okay.
But, there's people who make it their mission to try to not commit any crime.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto.
But Hatred is not about that. It's a game that is like about you're a psycho who just fucking kills people. Right? Am I wrong about that? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was their official rating for the AO. Is the context of the game is solely for injuring, killing, causing terror. But I mean, that's really a shady territory if you're going to start limited games on. I mean, if you can do only that in GTA.
This all harkens back to the we can't define pornography, but we know it when we see it type of bullshit.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it has the same kind of satire, not as much, but it does. Their billboards and stuff in the game have a certain amount of satire. I mean, it's something similar to Postal or State of Emergency, those type of games, and I don't know why there was just such a manufactured outrage for this game, but there was.
Well, I think the publisher, the developer, the guy who did this game, he wanted that though. That's what he was going for, was it not?
Yeah, because you can, Destructive Creations. I mean, you can set your trailer to the rating on Steam. The creator can. So, I mean, yeah, it could have been them just trying to drum it up, sell it like that, or moral grandstanding from media sites, game journalism, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
The ESRB is a lot like the Motion Picture Association. Their ratings are often arbitrary and political.
See, for a while they didn't have an ESRB rating. They only had the PEGI 18 rating, and Twitch allows PEGI 18 rating, so people thought they were going to be able to stream this no problem, even after the rules of conduct update.
But doesn't Twitch also have like that button like you have to hit that you're like over 18 when you're viewing a certain stream, like this stream is intended for mature audiences? I've seen that when I try to watch the Bloodborne stream.
Age gates, yeah.
Yep.
You could set that. You don't have to.
But isn't it permanent? Isn't it like that for certain games?
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't matter.
You gotta set it for your
Steam
channel.
basically
Okay.
proved that any age gate out there is just a ridiculous idea anyway. It's something like through Steam statistics, they said something like statistically 80% of the people who use Steam, their birthdays are on January 1st.
Well, I mean, it is a bullshit gate. It's obviously internet security is a farce. When we're talking about,
It's childish. I mean, it's the same shit when Mortal Kombat came out. It's hide your kids, hide your wife. This is gonna cause downfall of society. We're still here.
yeah,
A streaming service that lets us stream adult-only games.
it's called Gaikai, isn't it?
Hitbox will let you do it if you
Not
label your channel mature.
No, you can't stream adults-only games on Hitbox. I mean, you can't stream hentai on Hitbox.
Well,
I
here's
don't know about sexual content, but they have come out and said, "Hey,
But-
you can stream this."
But I mean, Twitch will not only just ban AO games, they also tend to ban games that aren't rated adults-only. Senran Kagura does not have a rating, and they are banning people for playing that game.
this is definitely a moral gray area in general. But to take it a step further, sometimes it's about money, and GOG is actually refusing to sell Hatred, but Steam and with the Sora, they're going to sell it. They're making money. They don't really care about that. Twitch seems to have taken a hard stance on this. They're going to ban you, and GOG's not making money. They're not going to sell it. So
I mean, and they have every right not to sell it. I mean, it's the whole freedom of marketplace.
they do.
Type of argument, but Steam is kind of the big boy in the arena, and they set the precedent of we're gonna sell this. They got that campaign to flag them on green light and get them removed, and they came in and reinstated it. Gabe Newell himself.
Yeah, and I think there was just something. All the departments weren't kind of communicating with each other there. 'Cause if they were, you could take this as like, Steam is backpedaling on all this shit, which they already did, but for a different reason. And now they're like, they're cool with making cash off of the sales of this game.
The thing is, it's not even that great of a game. I mean, it doesn't even take itself seriously. That's the problem with it. I mean, people think this is just some horrific, terrorist training program, but it's really not that great a game. It caps at 35 FPS. The quests are go into this building, kill X amount of people, and just stay alive. That's it.
It's a very mediocre.
It's $20. I mean, I don't understand.
It's like a mediocre version of
Well-
Crimson Land or something.
You know, the quality of the game really isn't something that's going to come into question when we're just talking about what the game is. I mean, people didn't look at older GTAs in Australia and all that other stuff before they banned them. They had an idea about what the game was about, and they banned it on hearsay because, you know, none of the guys who actually voted in that had ever even touched a Grand Theft Auto game. And in this case, we know very plainly what this game is about, and people are taking a hard stance on it. And like you said, they have the right to do that, to sell it or not to sell it, for whether they're doing it for, you know, monetary reasons, or they're just taking the moral high road, if you want to call it that.
I feel like if it was Steam though banning it, just like Twitch, I don't think they have any right to ban something, just because they have a monopoly on the streaming, so they really shouldn't be able to. You know, them saying that you can't stream hatred is a pretty big loss to hatred, and I think that's unfair.
I mean,
it's bad business
It
practices.
is, but it is still their, you know, their freedom to do so. But I mean, still, it's when a whole bunch of users just try. I mean, it's not even that they're clicking no on the green light box. They're reporting the game and saying, "Hey, they're breaking rules. Get rid of them." And then they just automatically remove it because they see so many tickets. I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah. Well, you know, empty can rattles the most, right?
So yeah, the game will exist. People will buy it, try it out, and realize, hey, this is like 2 hours of content, and they'll laugh at all the sheer amount of manufactured controversy. I mean, it's less gory than I can name a lot of games. GTA for one, Mortal Kombat, any other game. Sniper Elite 3. I mean, it's just not even gory at all. It's just the whole context issue that people are latching on about.
Well, in any case, you know, this game's going to come and go, and no one's going to remember it in a year from now anyway. And I think that seems to be... this only is news because there's no other news. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If Twitch had just banned like any other random game, we might mention it briefly, but we wouldn't talk about it for 5 minutes.
It'll be remembered the next time some game ratings board arbitrarily assigns too high of a rating to a game that doesn't deserve that high of a rating, and then we'll come back to it and we'll mention Hatred again and Postal and GTA, just like every other game that's been given an arbitrarily high rating because it just rubbed somebody wrong at a ratings board.
Or arbitrary
You're not wrong.
low rating.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
These rating boards are stupid.
it's gonna be remembered for the wrong reasons. I mean, it should be remembered for being a good game, if it was that. Not, oh, this stirred the shit pot. Ooh.
Well, like you're saying, it's not a good game. So they don't have that. There's nothing in that arena to talk about. So they're talking instead about the content of the game.
If it was a good game, would have received that AO rating?
No, none of these games have ever gotten these ratings have been very good. I mean, the original Grand Theft Autos weren't all that great. The original Postals weren't that great.
I think if it tried to take itself more seriously in a big budget type of game, then it might get a little bit more attention. People might just come out and say, no, can't do this, no, you're destroying society, gaming as a whole.
Anyway, well, that's the Western world, and that's our problem. Maybe the reason a lot of those games those bigger games don't get rated like in those arenas is because they're on major platforms, and there's money lost if they give it that rating. Someone's always paying somebody off, right?
Money does, in fact, make the world go round.
It does. It absolutely does, and we know there's corruption in the gaming industry. And I'm not saying that that's what this is, but anyway, let's talk about what's going on in the East. Our friends to the East. So May, why don't you tell us what's going on with NIS, the Disgaea developers over there in Japan?
Well, like the rest of the Japanese industry, they're disappointed in their profits. So they're going to focus on mobile gaming. So another one bites the dust.
Hooray! That's just what we needed, right? Another mobile game developer in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
So when's Capcom getting on board?
2
I
more
don't know.
weeks.
I think they are on board. They're making the new what is it? Breath of Fire game was mobile.
Oh yeah. Before they did one in the browser, didn't they?
Have you seen that game? It looks like a freaking. It looks like Maple Story.
Yes, yes, I've seen it. It's pathetic. It should not be called Breath of Fire. That's clearly just a buzz title they put on that to sell it, to push copies of it.
But yeah, Capcom, as I call them, Crapcom, has fucked up again.
Oh,
And
yes, Street Fighter. Please.
that's it.
So I'm looking through these videos, and maybe it's just difficult to tell from the untrained eye what's happening in some of these videos. But why exactly is Ultra Street Fighter 4 bad? Other than it being called Ultra Street Fighter 4, it was a bad.
Start. This is a AAA release from Capcom with no anti-aliasing. The textures are extremely blurry. It has insane glitches. Like one of the videos I posted on there had like the character was artifacting all over the place, and you were still seeing the character, and they were going out in and out of rendering and things like that. There's glitches
Visible
with the
sonic
actual,
booms.
Yeah, invisible sonic booms. There's glitches with the actual.
Oh, is that what that bug is? See, I don't know because I didn't play Street Fighter since Street Fighter 3 or 4 on
For
Xbox.
a fighting game, you have to have consistent animations. There is no maybe about that. You cannot be considered, a tournament level platform to play on if it's like that. And I think Evo straight up come out and say, no, I'm not playing this on PS4 until they fix this.
Wow.
There's a character who has a focus attack, and it messes up the hitbox of the character, so he'll like work through the character instead of hitting with abilities right after he uses his focus attack.
I don't get it.
Like that.
They have so many iterations of the same game in the same engine, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, it looks the same. How do you fuck it up? I mean, if you're just adding something and like doing a tweak here and there, like how do you have major bugs?
A third-party developer that I guess took a hold of it and did this remake for the PS4.
Oh no.
Capcom immediately came out and tried to distance themselves from it, like, oh yeah, they're working on it.
But all this is patchable, right?
No, because I mean, there's the menus lag. There's massive input lag. I think it was like 133 milliseconds on.
Oh Jesus!
And that's not even
God.
multiplayer. And then in multiplayer, you get about on average 9 seconds lag with somebody you could connect to, and it takes about 15 minutes to find an actual connection that'll work. Names displayed incorrectly. There's sound bugs all over the place. This is something that they basically would have to redo to patch it, to fix it.
So
Just make the whole game again.
let's go back to let's pretend we're in that room, right, where Crapcom decides to pitch this off to a third-party developer. They do that without really thinking who they're giving it to, so they can work on Street Fighter V as the PS4 exclusive, right? That's how this came about. Bueller?
I have no idea.
Why didn't Capcom just do it themselves? I mean, why would they pitch this over to why would they put their literally only working franchise right now like into the hands of somebody who was untested?
Who wants to bet that the patch is actually on the disc? It just needs to be unlocked.
Because they have to make a Resident Evil 0 remake.
Oh my god. You're right. That was more important, as was Resident Evil 7, whenever the fuck they're gonna show that shit at E3, aren't they? You know they're gonna do it.
Nah,
It's either that or Tokyo Game Show, TGS.
I mean, doing Resident Evil 7 would take a lot of work. I think it would just be better to just make remakes over and over again.
Remake
again?
They've done it twice this year. Did they not?
They made a remake of a remake of a game.
They re-released
Unprecedented.
Resident Evil HD remake. We already had that, and now Resident Evil 0 is also being remastered. Maybe you're right, me. Maybe that's their game here.
I gotta say, Metal Gear probably gets reworked like 4 or 5 times already, but at least comes with like 3 or 4 of the games when they do it.
You're probably right. See if the patch probably is on the disc, and you're gonna have to pay like $3 to unlock it or something. Because they're dicks. All right. Any other news we want to throw in here at all? Naughty's been pretty quiet.
Ultra Street Fighter excites me so much.
I know it's because we were talking about consoles, and you just were like, yeah, okay. All right, so let's move on to announcements and debuts. So, like I said earlier, E3 is just around the corner, more or less. We're going to have one more podcast before that comes, and at that point, we might have an idea of some lineups and some show times and dates. But for now, we don't, and the information that we are getting is very thin on the ground because they don't want to release anything prior to the big day. But there was the press week. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and so some stuff. Hit the mass media. And one of those things is that Bethesda says there's going to be a Doom game at E3. Right now they're calling it just Doom. Doesn't really have a name.
Yeah, they're rebooting it, actually. It was revealed at QuakeCon a few weeks back, actually.
Yes.
QuakeCon only showing of the new game.
Oh, okay, this is the same one.
Right.
Yeah, that little teaser trailer is like 10 seconds long where you're not really seeing a whole lot. So who's
They
excited?
had like their own little private screening. I don't know how long it was, but it was only for the attendees.
Right.
Yes, and I don't think that's available for viewing unless someone got a cam shot of that.
No, I think they had security pretty strict in there. Nobody was able to get a cam of it.
Everyone hand over your phones. Go grab your seats. So,
Possible.
Doom reboot, who's excited?
I'm hoping we get to see 3 more seconds of a teaser trailer.
Uh-oh. We have like for 15 seconds? No one's excited for Doom?
I don't know. I mean, I
Doom
could get
3 and the
behind it.
expansion were fun. I mean, that was like 10 years ago, though. But
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Can we put the flashlight on the gun this time without having a mod?
You can write them a strongly worded and suggestive letter that the flashlight be on the gun, or you need some kind of duct tape to attach it to the gun. That would be good too.
But it's not as scary.
I mean, we saw how well the new Wolfenstein has been treated with the New Order and its prequel and whatnot. So yeah, I think it could be optimistic for another Doom.
I think that's what they're trying to do. I mean, it's weird because Doom has always ridden on the coattails of Wolfenstein, and this is kind of like doing that again, isn't it? Did I say something that was
We
bad?
shall see.
I don't think
No,
Doom
I think it's
is
like-
riding on the coattails of Wolfenstein.
Well, I mean, but Doom became very, very big. I mean, it branched out quite a bit, and it's a very popular game. And when people talk about top greatest games ever made, the Doom games show up at times.
I think it's just the whole culture of remakes and nostalgia milking that's just going to continue.
You're right. And we talked about that like the beginning of 2013 when these new consoles came out. We're talking about remakes, and that's what we're seeing. We're in an age where that's a thing. And
They are valuable franchises. It would be bad business for them not to invoke those franchises that they own and can operate.
Oh, expanding on the IP is fine. It's just you have to expand on it.
How did Bethesda get a hold of this?
They bought
Okay.
id. They bought
Okay.
id software.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's not like they're cranking one of these out every flipping year. So
God, dude.
right. Well, that's not Bethesda.
No.
I read an article a while back about it, and somebody who was, I forget who it was, but he was involved in making the game. He was talking about making sequels to it, and it's from what he was saying, it sounded like they just kind of were hesitant about making any more Doom games because people remember them for being really good, but it might be also nostalgia, speaking, so they just kind of refrained from making it because they, FPS is kind of a saturated market, and what do you do with a FPS to make it fresh?
Well,
Plus, John Carmack's gone, so I'm sure that made the decision a little bit more difficult for them. He went over to Team Oculus there.
yeah. And keep in mind, these games are first-person shooter games, but they're not the first-person multiplayer shooters that Call of Duty or Battlefield are. They are. Wolfenstein didn't have any multiplayer Right? The New Order didn't have multiplayer, right? It was just a single player campaign, and look how well that did. I don't know if I think the Old Blood might have multiplayer. I do not know. I mean, it is $20, so I'm not sure they would include that. But hell, who cares if it has multiplayer or not? I mean, if you make a good single player story, that's kind of what has always driven Wolfenstein, and that's kind of what's driven Doom as well. Like there's space for that.
I don't
Doom
want
3
multiplayer
had
forced into
story.
a game that doesn't need multiplayer.
I
Like
think that's
Tomb
one of the
Raider.
challenges they're going to have is getting Doom up to speed story-wise, because I mean, the concept of Doom has always been pretty straightforward. There's demons from hell on Mars. Go kill them, please. And that's pretty much been it.
And yeah, Doom 3 did exactly
Doom
have any
3 had
revelations
some-
in regard to story. It was
Yeah,
still
it
a
had
pretty shitty story.
journals you could pick up and find.
Yeah, I know,
It
but
was
it was
somewhat
terrible.
incoherent.
It was a terrible story.
Agreed.
So maybe that's a point of focus that they need to make for this particular game. It needs to actually have a cohesive story that makes sense. The main character needs to matter, and maybe they'll hit it big. I mean, it's Bethesda, right? They generally make pretty good products. Dishonored, was a product that was kind of a sleeper hit too. Hell, maybe they do it right. And they got to show us more than a cinematic trailer. I mean, they got to show us some gameplay, and it's probably going to look like Wolfenstein.
It'll come out, people will buy it, just don't pre-order it.
Does anyone actually buy games from cinematic trailers? Because I see it and I just think that's a big waste of money.
I don't know.
I think it gets people, like I said before, we've talked about this. It gets people excited. It gives them some idea of the art direction and the goals that they're trying to set out for the game. But yeah, they don't tell you much about it otherwise.
Yeah, they really don't. Most of the time, they're just like the introduction cutscene to the game anyway, so it's not like they're necessarily devoting a lot of money to making a cinematic trailer. They're just
They shouldn't
showing you.
a cutscene like that, though.
They're just showing you what you're gonna see when you put the disc in your console, like that. That's what it is. It's become a staple of the industry.
They cost millions to make. It's so pointless. It's such a waste of money.
People keep buying their games, so as far as they're concerned, they're not going to change the formula.
I don't know if they cost millions to make. Yeah, I mean they do. I mean development on the 3D models and assets and textures has to be done, but they have to do that work for the game anyway.
No,
Yeah.
and Blizzard cutscenes used to cost millions to make. I'm not.
Yeah,
Blizzard was a little overboard.
Final Fantasy 14, those opening cutscenes, they were.
Square
they
Enix
said were
made the
like 4
reputation
million.
off of cutscenes.
Yeah, they really did. All right, well,
$4 million for a cutscene.
not to get too far off the beaten path here, but Resident Evil, speaking of remasters, Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster is being made by our beloved Capcom.
I don't even know what game that is.
It's the prequel to the first Resident Evil.
Why do we
Okay.
care?
Well, it doesn't matter about whether you care or not. But the game was originally released on GameCube, I believe. And right, yeah. And it was released after they had done the remaster for Resident Evil 1 back in 2002. Then we saw Resident Evil 0 come out. It introduced some new characters, and this game was ported to the Wii in Japan in 2008 and North America in 2009. And now, 6 years later, we're seeing it come back in a remaster format because I guess it's cheaper to do that, as you said, right, AI? Who cares about this game? I mean, seriously.
And in 5 years, everything's going to be released in the 4K remastered edition.
I mean, it wasn't even considered like one of the better Resident Evils, as far as I recall. Unless I'm wrong about that, but Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 1. Those are considered pretty good. Resident Evil 2 is a cult classic.
It's considered one of the worst Resident Evils, actually.
Well, I'm not, and we haven't seen a remake of Resident Evil 2 at all, and that's kind of a shame because I feel like that would be kind of a big deal. Instead, we're getting this
I feel like
crap.
we shouldn't see any remakes of Resident. I don't feel like it's old enough. Really, we've already had the remake of the first one.
Listen, man, it was like less than 10 years between the remake of the Hulk movies. All right. Hollywood doesn't give a fuck. It's never too soon, and the video game industry clearly doesn't give a shit either.
How about Capcom works on some of their fucking dead IPs that they haven't revived at all?
Well,
Mega Man.
going back to that strongly worded letter you're going to write them. You might want to talk to them about that. Get them on board with certain things. I mean, this is, at least they're doing something, and I'm not justifying what they're doing is right, but at least they're doing something with their IPs. Unlike Konami, where the IPs are uncertain what they're going to do with them. We don't know what they're going to do with Suikoden, for example. We know they just released 1 and 2 on PSN, but I mean, come on. That's not new content.
At least Konami knows when to quit.
Konami knows when to quit, okay. Now we're spinning it in a positive light for Konami. Okay.
Mega Man Legends 3. Bring it back.
It's just a way for developer to milk more money out of the title. It's like with Metal Gear Solid 4 or any Metal Gear, they feel like they didn't make enough money when it came out, so they just put better textures on it and they sell you the same game.
They're not gonna make money though. They lose money left and right because they're Capcom and they have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Well, they shouldn't pitch games.
They should make mobile games.
They're going to make mobile games.
They're doing that.
Horrible mobile games that nobody wants.
More info later this year. Now, he used the term expansion. That comes with a lot of baggage, so you better fucking deliver.
Yeah.
Haven't they delivered in the past their DLC?
I don't think they officially announced, but it was like you'd be stupid if you didn't.
I mean, I hear Dark Souls DLC was pretty good. Dark Souls 2.
The thing
Yeah,
about Dark Souls
Artorias was really good.
Yeah, but Artorias was content that was originally intended to be in the game, so it fit really well. It was like just a chunk of game that was missing.
Yeah, I mean, and then one of the complaints out of Bloodborne is just there's not enough content compared to Dark Souls or even Dark Souls 2. But I mean, it's still a complete game. It feels like.
It seems like.
That's what I heard.
Doesn't this game already have like a shit ton of content between the Chalice dungeons and all the stuff you gotta do?
Chalice dungeons were meant to be like their extra thing. I mean, a lot of people like them, a lot of people don't. I like them, but I mean, they are kind of bleh. It's like, hey, we have random dungeons, but it's like a 6-piece puzzle that just keeps rotating. I mean, that's not really random.
It actually doesn't have a lot of content because you could actually clear the content pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. Like if you don't die at all. But I mean, the content takes a long time to complete for most people just because it's so difficult.
I just hated the word expansion in general because it's gonna be like 2 or 3 hours of content.
Is it though? I mean, a lot of companies do that. Fucking Destiny, off the top of my head, just the recent example. I mean, you name something expansion, people, PC gamers thinking, oh, $30, $40 full content add-on, not the DLC 3-story mission, new area type thing. So I mean, we'll see.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
What I found most interesting was this wasn't one of the Bloodborne developers that tweeted this out. It was actually Shuhei Yoshida himself.
Yeah, he's the CEO.
He's pretty excited about this game. So that's a big deal.
Sold better than any previous FromSoft game. Like they said that it surpassed their expectations by far.
I'm glad that it did that well.
Are you really glad, Greg?
They want more of it.
Well, I'm not glad. I mean, the game has a following, and I respect it for what it is. I don't play them because I think they're crap. But this game looked different than Dark Souls. It probably played better control-wise in Dark Souls. So it is what it is. Like, it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable.
It's your crap too.
Probably does, and I don't give a shit. Anyway, so let's talk about a company that isn't trying to constantly kill people, where you have to use phrases like, well, you'd do fine if you weren't dying all the time. So Nintendo had the Nintendo Direct today, right? And they revealed a bunch of stuff. I did not have time to watch it, so maybe someone who did could take us through some of the highlights for this. There's quite a few, apparently.
I suppose I can. Unfortunately, it's all in Japanese, and the English has not been released for it yet.
Hi.
Based upon some,
Hi.
based upon some terrible ass subtitles
Hi.
from YouTube. Shut up.
I can
Hi.
read Japanese.
Well, you can read Japanese, but I can't. But essentially, some of the big highlights were Monster Hunter X. So that's a Capcom game.
Is it?
It said Capcom Presents in front of the
Fine.
thing for it, so yay, nay. No, viewer discretion advised. So we had new Monster Hunter coming out for that. Looks pretty hack and slashy, just like every other Monster Hunter. They have some big dragons, some big things that look like rhinoceros with like 20 more horns. Should be fun if you like killing big ass monsters.
And why wouldn't you be?
I don't know. I used to slay dragons for many hours a night for many years, way long ago in a past life.
What else? What else is interesting from the Nintendo Direct?
Stuff I found interesting past that was the new Fire Emblem game for the 3DS. They're going to be putting out that. I believe we discussed this in the previous podcast. Maybe I believe this is the one. Again, I'll have to let May confirm or deny this, but it looked like it was the one where it has the light path and the dark path. So you're that guy that's kind of the one side's bloodline, but you're adopted by the other one. So
No, I think this is a different one.
is it a different one? Because it looks
Yeah.
very similar to that. Well, whatever the case.
Not 100% sure. So
And neither am I.
I didn't get to
but,
watch the conference.
New Fire Emblem game coming out. So anybody who loves the good old JRPG should probably pick them up, because I don't think I've played a terrible Fire Emblem game. Not quite as good as I had hoped, yes, but not god fucking awful by any means.
There's no such thing as a terrible Fire Emblem game. They've consistently delivered in every single game.
Can't argue with that.
And the other one that caught my eye that's not purely for nostalgia purposes is the Project Treasure from Namco Bandai for the Wii U. Based upon first looks and just kind of rolling through the trailer and what they were describing, it looks like Left 4 Dead, like co-op meets Tomb Raider meets some Dynasty Warriors. Because you're just hacking and slashing zombies and spiders and snakes and shit with swords in like a 4-player co-op setting.
Sounds interesting.
I gotta say, it doesn't look good at all, man. I'm watching the trailer for it here, and I'm just like, wow, this looks like something we saw on like the Xbox 360 and PS3, like right after release.
It's a very weird thing to develop for the Wii U, just because those types of games multiplayer games don't really do well on the Wii U, except for like Smash Brothers. I mean, it's not a
The
traditional
online
multiplayer
multiplayer
type
leaves something to be desired, so I don't know if this is online or not.
Well, even if it's local co-op, I mean.
So what else?
I'll let Nate take it from here. Those are just things that interested me.
I mean, I can just run down the rest if you want.
I didn't think anything was particularly, aside from Monster Hunter, of course. I mean, that's one game Capcom has actually done well on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how long it'll take for him to milk that to death, but it's coming. Dragon Quest, of course, and Fire Emblem. So I'm pretty much with Papa. There was a Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, but it didn't really look that interesting. And Project Treasure just doesn't look like something that's going to sell well on the Wii U, but who knows? What I'm surprised is they announced so many 3DS games and only one Wii U game. I mean, is Nintendo just giving up on the Wii U?
I don't think so. Well, that's it. But I mean, we had Smash Bros. We had Mario Kart. I mean, what else is there to do, right? I mean, keep in mind, we talked about 2 weeks ago, is that we have the Nintendo Championship coming out, and that is going to reveal something, presumably.
Better be a Metroid game. I'm
Star Fox.
Goddamn table.
Yeah, but
Star
there's
Fox.
not even any interesting I mean, I guess outside of Project Treasure, like how many other interesting third-party titles are we expecting for the Wii U?
They don't have third-party titles. They don't get it.
None.
Because people don't buy them.
Yeah.
Flower
Fucking
2.
develops
The
third-party
flowering.
titles for it because they don't want to deal with the controls and the gamepad and all that stuff.
Well,
Because
listen,
they're bitches.
if there's nothing else redeeming this lineup here, Dr. Mario at the very least looks interesting.
There was a game announced for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Bloodstain is getting a Wii U release.
Oh,
Kickstarter.
technically, yes, it is.
Oh, yes,
There you
okay. Yes, okay. The EGA game we
Yes,
talked about
it is.
last night, Castlevania?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, it's kind of a big deal, I guess.
It's also
Pull them
releasing
from
on
the
every
gates
other
of hell.
platform.
Hey, listen, you need a reason to buy the Wii nowadays. Alright, so that about does it for Nintendo Direct, right? Any other comments here? No. Okay, moving on. So, MMO news. So let's start with Guild Wars. Guild Wars, so the Heart of Thorns just entered closed beta. Is anyone here playing it or interested in playing it?
Yeah, you have to get like a key or whatever by playing in like one of the 3-day events or something over a weekend, which of course I wasn't able to do because yay holidays and not being around my computer much.
I'm
But it
interested
would
in the
be.
expansion, but not playing the beta.
Mm. It's so hard to get into betas for MMOs. I mean, and not in necessarily get into them, but just to be interested in logging on when you do have access. Because like, oh, that stuff's gonna get wiped away, and you know, it's
Yeah, you know,
I don't
I've played enough MMO betas where this one came around and I was like, not even the least bit interested.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to play this, I actually want it to be a surprise for once.
Yeah, I'm with Nadia, so I'm all
I
jaded
don't
now.
want to do things twice anymore. Just, you know, I don't really care about being, you know, the first to accomplish something. So I got to get in the beta so I can, you know, learn all the quests and how to level up as fast as possible. And that doesn't interest me the least bit anymore.
yeah. I think we're too old for that shit now. Screw it.
The upside of that, though, they have released a lot more data as far as I believe one of the last podcast, probably a month or 2 months ago, we talked about the many new specializations or something to each class. So each class would get like a new weapon that previously was unusable and could unlock it via a new talent tree, essentially. And they released a lot more stuff. I believe they have the Guardian, the Ranger, the Mesmer, and I think and the Necromancer. So they have about half of the classes alternate, you know, specs revealed.
Rangers get to be druids. Yay, excited.
Hooray.
Go staff.
Necromancers get great swords of fury, which you know, chill, and more chill.
Yeah, why couldn't I get something cool? Not stupid druids. Nature.
We don't know
based.
what warriors are going to get, but we know it'll be overpowered.
hmm
More than likely, although they already have access to pretty much every weapon in the game but a staff. So
And daggers.
and short bow.
Focuses. and
But
short bow, yeah.
still, I mean, for the most part, they use bloody any weapon.
Alrighty, so the only other news really going on in MMOs is Final Fantasy XIV just had a stream event for the Producer Live Letter 21. It was very long, almost 4 hours, but there was a ton of info. And I haven't been playing as much because, you know, like I've mentioned before, we're in sort of a lull with things, but Cipher has been playing. And I know that Cipher's been really excited about what's coming up for the expansion. So give us some of the highlights, Cipher. I mean, most of it's what we know, but what excited you the most out of here?
I mean, it actually showed him, you know, running around the interior of Vishgard. It's the fourth city-state that's now opening up for players. They showed that there are going to be guilds for each of the 3 new jobs in the town itself. You just go and grab them. He was flying around outside some of the previous zones that we could access in 1.0 that were quote-unquote destroyed. You're going to notice some new areas. You're going to see some of the old areas, so that's really good. He showed off one of the flying mounts, the fat chocobo, flying around.
Power of cake.
Hilarious. Yeah, it had a cake instead of the Goshel green, or whatever that thing was on the stick. There's going to be 9 new locations. They showed off that the flying mounts you're going to have to attune to Aether winds. I'm assuming it's going to be like aetherites per zone. You got to attune to a certain amount before you can start flying. They said that zones will be 200% to 500% bigger.
Damn, it's huge.
Previously they announced it was only 1 to 2. Now they're saying it's 200 to 500% bigger. They showed off a chocobo forest where you could fight chocobos. So I don't know how long it's going to be till there's midnight cockfights and people betting with Gil, and they just finally shut the place down.
I'll be there, Seifer.
They particularly noted that monsters will be difficult in these zones. You pull 2 and you're not ready, you're gonna die. Instead of, you pull 8, run around in a circle, and everything's fine. They showed a trailer camera fly-through for the 8 new dungeons. Namely, the first one, Dusk Vigil, is what we're gonna find in level 52. They showed some Allegan dungeons, so yeah, Alligans are going to be involved in the new story quest.
Who knew?
Revealed the Dragon Song is their official theme. They had a little trailer with that. It was an awesome song. They're really good with their music.
Was a very good song, yeah. Oh yeah.
And the main point of the whole stream was they detailed the majority. They said not all, but the majority of the level 50 to 60 new actions for each job. Now, just by luck, he plays a Black Mage. Yoshi plays a Black Mage main, so he showed that off the most, and that's the main I've been playing for since near the end of 1.0. A lot of great new abilities that are going to change the dynamics. It's no longer you just sit in your turret. For a lot of jobs, it's going to add to your diversity. Skill rotation. It's going to be a little harder.
Yeah, there's a lot of mechanics that are going to change for jobs.
Easy to learn, hard to master is definitely going to be some of the things now. And I'm waiting to see how everyone's going to incorporate those skills to their current builds.
No, I saw some controversy around this expansion.
Oh?
God.
People are complaining that you have to even do expansion content, you have to go through massive amounts of story and level up a job to basically 50 before you could even partake in the expansion content, which takes, for a casual player, it takes months.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be... Well, people are going to buy the game under the impression they're going to be playing the expansion, and they're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, but they've constantly come out and said this is high-end level content. This is stuff post-50. The zones are post-50. It sucks you just come in and but it's really easy to level in that game. You can go through like 1 to 50 in like 3 days if you really wanted to.
Now I did see that they are making it a bit easier to progress now, but there's also issues with people not going back and doing the older content because there's no reason to.
Well, they're going to give... Square Enix has basically done, for the past 18 months of this game, done a very good job of making people go back into the old dungeons, and they're going to find a new incentive to make sure that that continues. I guarantee it. They've really placed a lot of emphasis on Duty Finder, roulettes, and making people be rewarded and feel rewarded with the token system that's locked out per week to make you want to go back and do stuff. Now, after a time, those tokens are worthless to you, but they just increase the reward eventually and give you new items to buy with it. So they keep it. They do their best to make sure that the old players are interacting with the new players and getting them through that content that is really hard to queue for.
Yeah, but people were complaining they were trying to do like just the main story dungeons for like when you're not even level 50, and they were it was taking days to actually get a queue for it.
It's literally no different than any other MMO where like if you're a tank and a healer, you get queues pretty good and your DPSs are terrible.
It is completely different than any other MMO because no other MMO locks you out of content if you don't complete the story. Locks you out of the entire game's content.
The story is able to be done solo. I mean, that's the whole...
Yeah.
If there
Not
was
the
no
dungeon
Duty
parts.
Finder... Yeah. You Duty Finder it puts you in a queue, and you join a party automatically. If there was no option to do that, then yeah, I'd agree with you.
The problem is, though, that people aren't getting queues in the Duty Finder.
Well, right now you're not going to see a lot of that, but they are.
And you're not going to see a lot of it when the expansion comes out either. It's a problem.
Like I said, well, I understand when the expansion comes out, they're giving everyone 2 weeks to level up. That is going to be. They're going to try to give us some incentive to go and help those people. They're going to add a different like duty roulette, which is their version of like, you queue up for low-level duty roulette, and you get in a random level 1 through 49 dungeon. And if a noob is queuing for that, it fills in that party for that noob to be able to run in through that dungeon with experienced players. Like, are you always going to hit it? No, there's prime time in every time zone and different stuff. Like, I think they do a pretty good job of trying to keep it so that people are connected. It's not perfect. It's never going to be.
I would say Square Enix does a better job than a lot of the other companies keeping low-level stuff relevant, because they put a bunch of quests in, like the relic quests and stuff, where you have to go back to level 20 dungeons and do them. Where in other MMOs like Terra, you never went back to those.
Yeah, I mean, now when the game's kind of just a lot of people are just waiting for expansion. I went through and did the relic quest this close to the expansion, and I had to wait 30-40 minutes to get into some of the lower level dungeons, but I was able to get in and complete it. If there was no way I could complete it, then I'd have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of silly that they tied that shit to progression. It shouldn't have been. Yeah, attunements are always bad in MMOs.
They are. But Square Enix is going to learn too. This is their first MMO in this type of format. They'll learn their mistakes. They've been pretty good about it.
My biggest complaint about this whole expansion is I don't see any new content. Like, as when you had 11, and Zellart came out, you had Dynamis. When Chains of Promethea came out, you had C and Salvage, and there was different endgame content, where in this expansion, it's just the same thing repeated. Like, it's just the same dungeons, same endgame content, and there's nothing that, like...
Yeah, I said immediately it's going to be the 8 dungeons and the cap raised. And then 2 weeks after, it's going to be the Alexander normal. And that's supposed to be the raid. And then they're going to add the Savage.
It's dungeons and coil. It's the same exact thing. It doesn't mix up the endgame progression or anything.
Did they pull Blizzard though and reuse the same content for the expansion?
Probably.
It's redesigned and it's different monsters and the areas look different, but the endgame progression is the exact same thing as it was in 2.0.
Yeah, Yoshi came out and said the whole reason why he was putting it at 2 weeks off was he didn't want people to rush through the story, which is kind of bullshit, but that's his reason, I guess.
I'm talking about like Wrath of Lich King, where they just reused Nax and barely changed it. They made some fights easier, obviously, to cater to 20-man.
No, there won't be that.
Okay.
That's not happening now.
Everything's newly designed and new lore and all that.
Well, they're not
stuff.
that lazy then. So
No, they're not that lazy, but the format of stuff will be roughly the same.
Flying concept. You're only going to be able to get certain areas through flying and whatnot. I mean, it's I don't know. We'll see when it comes out. It's going to be great. It's going to be bad.
Yep. Yeah, it's hitting in 3 weeks, so...
One new thing. Like, whatever.
Yeah, Square Enix
would be.
They're actually having a presentation at the E3 instead of just a booth, and they're going to do a 3.0 patch notes reading at E3. I think it's their Live Letter 22. I don't know if they've named it that, though.
Well, I mean, it's going to be this stuff. It's going to be translated. That's what it's going to be. Let's be real.
No patch notes reading. It sounds so serious.
Yeah. Alright, well, listen, MMO news is MMO news. Let's talk about
Theorycraft.
Talk about games that just came out. So 2 games that just came out that were a pretty big deal. Witcher 3 and Magic 2. So, gentlemen, have you been playing your Witcher 3 daily? You getting your Geralt fill?
Yes.
Very good, very good.
I have not. But I've been watching a lot of
Well,
it. I like it.
it's a great game. And, of course, Naughty's and most people predicted it did launch as a bit of a buggy mess. There was a lot of bugs, people crashing constantly, different display driver issues. But they patched it 2 days after it came out, and then they patched it the following Monday, and that seemed to have alleviated 99% or more of the problems for people on PC.
Well, there's still XP bugs issues. There's still issues with the game glitching all over the place.
Yeah, and
You're playing that on which platform.
It's not just my platform. It's
your
all over the
platform.
forum.
No.
Go to the forums. There's quests that bug out all the time. It doesn't matter what platform you're playing on.
I've
Well-
been playing it solidly since last weekend, and it's been running extremely well.
Well,
I haven't encountered any game-breaking bugs. I think I did encounter an issue where I did a couple quests and didn't get any experience for them, but I just kind of attribute that maybe I was too high of a level anyway. So
Today I had to ard a quest NPC because it just wouldn't talk to me for whatever reason.
okay.
And that warped me over to a different spot in a cutscene, which was weird.
Well, maybe that's a feature and not a bug. Who knows?
well, I will say that Roach refused to like sprint anymore until I quick saved and reloaded, and then he was fine.
Yeah, I've had some issues with the horse maybe not appearing the first time I double click.
I'll tell you the problem with the flipping horse. He'll routinely appear on demand, but in the most inconvenient place he could possibly appear.
Like behind the house.
If it's behind a house or
Yeah.
maybe, like stuck against a wall, yeah, he'll be there.
Yeah.
The wrong direction.
I've also
Yeah.
had quest NPCs disappear on me, and I have to meditate and wait for them to come back. And that's not because they're on a cycle or whatever. It's just because the game's bugging out. They're falling under a bolt or something.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I've had mobs that attack me, like they were halfway under the world and shit. I've been stuck in objects and have to reload my save.
Man, the Surge is unlucky.
Yeah. Well,
Possible.
I mean, CD Projekt Red's forums have been exploding since day one. I mean, that first week was tough, man. But they did the best that they could to mitigate, I think, the issues. And we talked about their customer service earlier. It was pretty good. I mean, they put out like a document to kind of abate some of the issues on GOG, which was the basic Microsoft bullshit. Like, you should restart and you should make sure you're verified. Your game is verified, and all this other crap.
We knew this was going to happen anyway from the Witcher.
We did. Yeah.
They have been patching it, and I'm sure eventually, it will be relatively bug free.
Yeah, because you know who else knew it was going to happen? CD Projekt Red knew it was going to happen. Because they created a large open world sandbox game that is massively complex, and we know that the games, the Bethesda series of games that come out, are riddled with bugs. Day 1 until day 3,000, because those games are very complex, and they have a lot of little intricacies and if statements and reused global variables in the code to save space, and that causes shit to bug out when you do something that the game doesn't necessarily expect you to do. I'm sure that's a lot of the issues. There's a lot of programming issues with that stuff. Hard to predict where players are going to go, right? I mean, it's an open world game. You give players the ability to go anywhere the hell you want. Shit's probably going to find a way to bug it.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any fun bugs like in Skyrim? Flying horses? Gigantic somersaulting bears?
No.
Yeah, I've seen a fun bug.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, where Garrett basically has sex with himself.
Wow.
Alright.
I thought that just happened every time I meditated.
There's like multiple titties all over the place.
I will
Fun bug.
say this. I only had one really strange bug, and it like blinked off and on for me like within 2 or 3 seconds. Like I almost took a screenshot, but it fixed itself. If you remember those old Unity pictures where like you saw the weird bug eyes and the skin, the skinless faces, I had that for like 3 seconds on my screen in and in, and I was like, oh man, don't do that again. It looks like death. Scared the shit out of me.
Creepy as
It
shit.
was so creepy.
Also,
So creepy.
with, the fall damage in that game.
The fall damage is ridiculous. I can't jump over a fence without breaking my knee.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Geralt's an old guy. I mean, he's like 80-something, right?
No, he's 100.
Okay, he's over 100. He was old in the last Witcher. A lot of his like flavor stuff was just like, oh, I'm getting too old for this shit. Like, he's older now, so it doesn't really surprise me that the fall damage is so high.
Dance around in combat.
Listen, man, he bangs young chicks. I mean, wow.
But falling
Make
over
him
a
tell
fence.
Siri to go do shit.
Siri moves fast. Okay, well, Naughty, why don't you tell us about Magica 2?
Yeah, so Papa and I set in to do some co-op Magica 2 the other day.
Hate
I
that
played it,
fucking game.
it's
It's tough.
definitely Magica, and it's definitely more difficult this go around. I mean, the original Magica was no walk in the park, but they've done some adjusting to the spell mechanics and balance. So a lot of the super overpowered spells that you kind of leaned upon pretty heavily to get you through the original Magicka, they are not there anymore.
Thermionic hyper beam laser.
Yeah, hyper beam laser and like the ice knockdown combos and things of that nature. So and
the Steam Lightning Arcane Beam.
That one, yes.
Yeah.
They have also sped up a lot of the creatures and added a lot more of them. So
They've also added
kiting is not
elements to the creatures, so they will flat out be immune to some elements, resist other elements, and then like these crabs. So not only can you not kite the mobs really well in this one because they run as fast, if not faster than you. Some of them also have frost elements attached to them, and so when they hit you, you get chilled.
Wow.
So they further end up, just beating your face in, and you're like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, and there's also a little internal cooldown on magics. Basically, magics are instead of casting a beam, you can punch in an element code and hit the space bar, and it'll activate some type of special ability. I think there's a one to revive fallen players. There's another one for haste to make your wizard move faster. So the issue there comes when you're kiting a bunch of mobs and your partner dies and you have to stop and cast the magic to revive him. Now you are prevented from casting a haste magic for like 3 or 4 seconds. So all the stuff you were chasing is now caught up to you and you can't even get away.
I heard the game is ridiculously hard to play solo.
You
need to rely on revive.
There's no way you could play this game solo. You can try it. You probably get a throw out of it. Yeah,
unless you have like 4 hands, you're not doing it solo.
I was sitting in the channel with these guys yesterday for 20 minutes, and with my headset off, but I could hear them through my headset, and I was like, man, the struggle is real in that game. It seems really hard.
It is fucking hard.
Well, good. I mean, it's. I think Magicka needed some extra challenge. Like the first one was kind of broken once you figured out good combos, and this is taking it in a new direction, right?
Most certainly.
It's really making co-op necessary, is what you guys are saying.
Yes, we need more people to play Magicka with us. That's what we're saying. There's 2 ain't cutting it.
Well, maybe you'll pick up some players just from listening to this podcast, or maybe we know some people. Oh, look at that! You've got AI right there. 3. You got 3 players. All right, so why don't we go through upcoming games? So what's coming out in the next 2 weeks there? Take it away, AI. This is your segment.
All right, as we talked about, you have Hatred coming up, which is a murder simulator, according to most of the media. And that's coming out June 1st for
Yes.
PC. I do not recommend buying it. It's not that great a shooter.
First and best murder simulator.
And just remember, if you're trying to buy it, you cannot buy it on GOG.
Coming out June 2nd, we have Lord of Mana, Made in Heaven. It's a SRPG, and it's coming out for the 3DS. No, that's not a Vita game. Oh, I know the title sounds like a Vita game.
It does, doesn't it? Made in Haven. Sounds like a brothel simulator to me.
Sorry, Made in Haven. Yeah. We got Tesso coming out, Elder Scrolls Online.
To clarify, that's Tamriel Unlimited,
Yes.
which is the freemium version of their game. It's they're pulling the boxes off the shelves and it's going free to play with a premium subscription model like Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Is that going to be the opening statement in the Bethesda press conference? We're sorry about Tesso.
Yeah, should be. But let's talk about shit that's awesome. Doom.
June 9th for PS4 and Xbox One.
Don't get excited.
Please be excited. Or don't be excited. Terraria is coming out for PS Vita. It's a sandbox game. It's been out for years for PC. And it's coming out June 9th. So if you want to play it on a handheld.
Hooray. Now you can play Minecraft on your Xbox, or you can play Terraria on your Vita. Great.
Also coming out on Vita June 9th is Operation Abyss New Tokyo Legacy. It's a dungeon RPG. I highly recommend picking this up. Experience never makes bad games. It's coming out for PS Vita. Coming out for every system is Lego Jurassic World, and that's June 12th. That's a Lego game. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a very casual, kid-friendly game.
You get to be Chris Pratt in Lego form.
The adults love these games, by the way. Just pointing that
Yeah,
out.
they're not bad games. They're pretty fun to play. And that's it. There's not much releasing. But pick up Operation Abyss if you have Vita. That's my recommendation.
Alrighty. So let's move on to our last and final segment as I eat this candy. So, Naughties, what have you been playing?
The last 2 weeks, been playing Witcher 3 and Magicka and Tabletop Sim.
Oh, we've been having so much fun with Tabletop Simulator. What have we played? I can't even remember anymore.
We did
Pandemic.
Pandemic, Betrayal House on the Hill, Pirates Cove. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember all those. I was processing videos today now.
Good times in Tabletop.
Very fun, yeah, very fun.
That game has been so worth the $15 we spent on it.
Very much worth it.
So is there anywhere we can watch you play your stuff there, Naughties?
You definitely can. We stream our games usually on Twitch TV under a few of the accounts. They are uploaded to YouTube on the IGC accounts, and when they're not getting copyright infringement for music that we're streaming while playing Tabletop Sim that is being streamed from YouTube.
Yes. So to fill people in, we did Epic Spell Wars last night, and near the end of the session, the last like 30 minutes or so, Naughties brought out the tablet, which lets you access YouTube in the game to put up a Rhapsody playlist. And the 3 Rhapsody songs, they're a heavy metal band from the 80s or 90s, they copyright and flagged that video. So the video, it was a second part of a video, and I could not merge them together without that. They actually scrubbed it out, but I haven't listened to it yet to see that they didn't just mute the whole damn video. So hopefully that will be up on our website, and I'll tweet it out probably sometime tonight. Those bastards.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's ridiculous.
Amazon.
My favorite part was when they were like, well, you can replace it with like our YouTube approved music, and I'm listening to it and it's like nature music, and I'm like, what the why would I replace Rhapsody with this?
Well,
It doesn't make any sense.
Going around.
Listen, I agree with you.
YouTube and Twitch.
No, only on YouTube.
There's like a dozen YouTube
Wow, I'm really
videos of that
surprised they didn't
album
do it
in
on
its
Twitch.
entirety on YouTube. So I'm like, what?
Listen, I don't know, man.
Oh, we haven't caught them yet.
Apparently some entertainment company named Merlin has the copyrights for all the Rhapsody songs, and they flagged the 3 of them that were on there. Oh well. I mean, I got the email and I was like, oh no, our first copyright infringement. But I took care of it. Don't worry about it.
It sounds like he was PvPing us in Epic Spell Wars.
So, yeah, that is funny, isn't it? I didn't even think of that. So, AI, what have you been playing?
I've also been playing The Witcher 3
Really? You don't say.
and Tabletop Simulator.
And where can we watch you play these games?
I also finished up Apotheon. It was a real quick platinum, so I did that. That was a pretty fun game, actually. You could watch me play on Hitbox, actually, under AI Monster. And my YouTube channel is AI Monster IGC.
Very cool. I was actually watching your Hitbox earlier today. I don't know if you saw my messages. You were apparently trying to whittle down a tree with a very thin sword, and these dogs were trying to bite your ankles at the same time. And it looked like you were really struggling.
Yeah, I was level 13, and that tree was level 20, and the wolves were level 22. So it didn't go too well.
Hey, I watched you for 10 minutes. You were really battling it out, though. It's a good time. So, Lucy, what have you been playing, and where the hell have you been? You're never here anymore. You show up late to the podcast, you don't call me anymore. It's like we broke up or something.
I've been playing The Witcher.
Oh.
Watching Dota 2 qualifiers.
That's got to take up all your time.
Yeah, basically the biggest tournament for Dota 2 just started now, so they're playing qualifiers, and I think in a month there will be finals, so yeah.
Oh, the compendium's going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Go buy the $10 book.
Witcher 3 mostly.
Mm.
I think I visited both brothels in Novigrad, so I'm making progress.
That's all I'm playing this game for, the sex. I got to get all 16 hours of it.
Did you have sex with every girl, though, in the brothel?
Yes, yes, and 2 sorceresses.
Wow. I don't want to spoil anything, but
Kill the werewolf.
you know the sorceress that is like pretending that she's playing like the village witch. You guys know who I'm talking about. Starts with a K.
Yep.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
did you guys make her the end of her quest fatal?
Her quest
Yes.
chain was
I
ended
did not.
definitively.
And apparently
Okay.
it ruined the trophy for me. It makes so I'm kind of pissed off since now I have to play the game again.
Okay.
All the way
They
to the
took
end,
that
apparently.
trophy out of the good old games version. That trophy is not in there.
There's a
Okay.
whole bunch of- I don't think they
actually-
took it out. I think there's a whole bunch of missable trophies in the game, so that's not the only one.
I didn't kill her, and I sent her to the Witcher castle, Carmoran or whatever they call it. So it's gonna be really awkward when I show up there with Is and Yennefer.
Now, you have no idea how awkward the game gets towards the end if you are attempting to court multiple sorceresses. You'll see.
And those
Witch
Those-
got a witch.
that sorceress guild, man, they are some catty bitches.
Hey,
Aren't the sorcerers
girls
just
don't get
awful
STDs
people in that
and
game
don't
anyway?
get Children.
They're pretty awful.
Yeah.
They're pretty self-serving anyway. Anyway, Papa, what have you been playing? I don't think you've been playing The Witcher.
That is correct. I've not been playing it, nor will I play it because I've not played the first two either because I'm just that kind of bastard.
That's not the real reason. It's because it's not on Wii U.
No, it's not the reason.
That's
You
the
were
reason.
hanging out with Oliver
If
or
this was a
something? You didn't-
Nintendo exclusive with Mario characters, you would play it.
Fucking A right it is. Mario's a badass.
They could do like a Mario port for that game.
I've been playing Tabletop Simulator with other guys who do Tabletop Simulator, which is pretty much 75% of the people on this channel. Been playing Magic 2, as Naughty's mentioned earlier, and I also expressed my explicit ill regard for the difficulty of that particular game at this time. I'm sure we will get better, but right now, that game's a son of a bitch.
Hmm.
Trying to think of if there's anything else I've been hitting up. I don't believe so.
Well?
Yeah, no, probably nothing. That's it. Well, actually, no. I did play a set of Corsa for a couple hours. It was on sale for like 50% off or something, and Naughty said it was good, and so I was like, fuck it. I haven't felt a good old Project Gotham type racing thing or a Forza game in a while, so tried it out. It's not bad. I just need to get used to the controls again. I haven't played a racing game in probably 6 years, so it's a little tough.
That's cool. And you're not streaming or anything yet, right?
I mean, I have the potential to stream, but it just doesn't quite work out because I only have a quad core, no hyper-threading, and I play on the highest resolution of any of these PC gaming master races. They sit up there on the thrones. I sit at the top of the castle with my nice 21 by 9 ultra wide setup.
Everyone here is jealous of you, Papa. Every one of us.
Yeah, they should be.
Except Seaver.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
I'm not. Once you go G-Sync, you cannot go back to anything else.
They'll have a G-Sync version of my monitor here shortly. Acer, actually.
You could send me your old one.
You got $750?
I do, but I'm not giving it to you.
Oh, well, I can't send you the old one.
Seaver, what are you playing now? Where can we watch you play it?
Not Witcher 3 again.
Also, not which. Well, we knew that.
Or the one, first or second one, never played those. But I've been watching a lore series by Shoddycast on YouTube. It's really nice. It's got me caught up with story. And I'm really liking the game. Been watching you guys play and watching YouTube videos. Might start it off soon, but I have been playing Final Fantasy 14 for now. And that's just about it.
I think Witcher 3 also kind of does a good job of explaining what's going on. Like the side story, NPCs, secondary quests, they kind of give you a good idea of what's going on in this world. So you don't have to rely. You can start playing it and don't play the other ones.
Oh yeah. For sure,
I
for
mean,
sure.
he did like a general feel of what is everyone's position.
Yeah.
As prologue to Witcher 3. So I mean, it does fill in gaps. It's real nice. I mean, there's a lot of nice things for that game. A lot of people are commenting the opening, just the first areas have more lore than most games do in its entirety.
You know what my idea is? That because Game of Thrones ends in 2 seasons, HBO should buy the rights and make that into a new fantasy series.
I would watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CD
Alrighty.
Projekt has done such a good job of fleshing out that world, and from that it was developed in the book series into their games, and we know that this Witcher game is basically the end of Geralt's story, but they've pretty much stated it's not the end of the Witcher games. So who knows? In the future, we may get an even more open version of The Witcher where we are free to develop our own characters.
Yeah.
Or with Siri.
Or with Siri, yeah, or whoever the hell else. Very cool. And Seifer, where do you stream all of your nonsense?
Twitch TV under Gainwin. GAINWIN.
Alright. So, last but not least is me. Unless there's any other commentary. No, okay.
I'm still salty over your Bloodborne slander, sir.
Yes.
Really? I just told you, man, I got the utmost respect for people who punish themselves playing that game. It's just not for me.
Game tells you to stop dying. It does not tell you to stop dying.
It implies that you should...
It implies
It implies that you should stop fucking dying. Instead of saying you died, it should just say get good. That's what it should say.
It keeps asking, why you not doctor yet?
Yes. How come you don't beat this game already? Anyway, so I have also been playing Tabletop Simulator with these fine gentlemen and ladies as well. We've had a lot of ladies playing Tabletop Simulator lately, and Papa too. He's been pulling his panties up and actually logging on and doing something with us, so that's fun.
Kick your ass.
Yeah, whatever. I will never.
Gin with the ladies.
I learned after yesterday's Epic Spell Wars game that I will never in my life earn a Last Wizard Standing token. It's never gonna happen. Because I was so close, and then AI killed me, and it was just my dreams and hopes were shattered forever. But I heard that we're going to be playing Lords of Waterdeep coming up on Thursday. I might jump in for that one, because I heard Winter is the reigning champion, and I feel like we all need to be there to take him down.
Winter is not going to win on Thursday. Every person at the table will have the sole purpose of preventing Winter from winning.
Okay, well, I will brush up on my rules, and I will try to be there if I can make it. I've also been playing Witcher 3, and my comment on the game is really that to go sort of piggyback off what Lucy was saying about the side stories, like, the side stories, they only ever seem to add to the main storyline. It's kind of like there's all this story you didn't know that was there, and it perfectly fits into, like, the main story quest, like in some way or another it's connected, or there's another quest you discover while doing a side quest, like I liberated this one island and that opened up another side quest, but only because I had helped that guy out before. So it's kind of like the NPCs are like interlaced in some way, their fates are all tied to one sort of main consciousness, and I love that about the game. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like that first area, you can do multiple quests, but they'll mention stuff that happened in the other quest, like with that lady in the well. You kind of find out all around what happened in that area.
Yeah. Like, it's just magical. Like, I'm so glad they took this long to put it out and just put out a good product.
It's nice how it not necessarily revolves around Geralt. It's like stories that pertain to the region and what the people went through. It's not just, a monster. It's somebody who went through something, and, that's what happened.
Yeah, and, to go back to what Nani said about the book, this game being brought out of books, like, they do an excellent job of capturing what a book is like. Every time you read a book, you're jumping in with established characters that have been doing stuff before you got there. And this game does an excellent job of making it feel like you've arrived just after something important happened or just before something's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And you, like, that first opening area, you come to that area, you arrive there after there's been a giant bloody war. And, like, you're looking at the aftermath of it and how people are starving and suffering, and bandits have taken over their small little villages and towns, and you have the opportunity to affect change there, and it feels more real than I would dare say Skyrim in that sense, because you're not just completing quests as the Dragonborn, you're just the dude who's like, I get to choose whether or not I take the moral high road or whether I just kill all those motherfuckers.
And it's interesting to also look at your consequences. Like one of the quests that I did, I helped this guy, and then he leaves to help his wife, and then I go back there, he's gone and left somebody else in charge, and you did a good deed, but now the new person in charge is like slaughtering the villagers and pillaging nearby.
It's just so wonderfully connected, and if you guys haven't played it or want to play it, or you're wondering if you should get into it, anybody listening to this, try it, because you're not going to be disappointed with this game. The storytelling is amazing, and yes, you have to play like an established character, but you get to make decisions with that character that are important and that define his moral ambiguity starts to develop into something cohesive for your character, and I think that's more important than something that Mass Effect did.
And
I don't think it's been mentioned enough that David Hayter's voice actor for him. That's fucking awesome. I mean, if I don't have the video up, he sounds exactly like Solid Snake. Exactly like in that game.
And all those side quests also seem important. It's not like you're going there to pick berries for some villager to make something, All of it is like, important to the storyline, important to those characters.
I know this guy asked me to pick a dragon root for him.
Go pick it, because it's important. Alright, gentlemen. So that's everything that we're playing. Also, you can find me and this podcast even streaming at twitch.tv/GreyJorildon, GreyJorildyn. If you're already in this channel, good for you. View us, follow me on Twitch, because you will know when shit goes live. Anyways, that's the end of our show. We will be back in 2 weeks as we do this bi-weekly, and have been doing that for about 2 months now. So that next show will be on Sunday, June 14th. And in the meantime, if you want to watch Sun Tabletop, you can hit up my Twitch channel, which I just mentioned, or you can follow us on Twitter at impact_gamingcm to see when we go live with any shows, including this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Impact Gaming Community, although I think we're going to drop support for that at some point. And we are now packing our YouTube channel with all our wonderful stream bits over at Impact Gaming Videos, one word. And of course, you can listen to this podcast both on YouTube and on iTunes. If you search for IGC Podcast, you can subscribe to us there. Leave us a review. Listen to us on your favorite podcast application on your Android or your smartphone or whatever the fuck. We also have plenty of other content on our website. We have lots of streamers, and you can check them out at impact-gaming.us/streams. Or you can just go to our root website, check out what we're doing. And of course, if you have any questions for us here on the podcast that you want us to answer, you can email us at podcast@impact-gaming.us. And I apologize sincerely to anyone who has sent us an email since I've been mentioning that, probably since April or March, because we had a bit of a problem with our MX entries, with our mail authenticator on our website, but I fixed that problem at 2:30 in the morning last night. I got hundreds of emails that were backed in from the outside. I didn't see any from that particular email address, but you can send it to us now, and I will get it, and we will gladly answer your questions here on the podcast. For the IGC podcast team, I am Grey Geraldin, and thank you to Naughtius and Air Monster and Lucy and Papa and Seifer for coming today, and also to everyone who is watching us on Twitch and the guys here in the podcast channel. Listen to us on our TeamSpeak channel while we record. You guys are the reason we keep doing this, and we really love it and enjoy it. We will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, have a good one, and game on.